Hey Facebook, this is my first Facebook Live of 2019. I have been kind of silent for good reason, and I'm excited to chat with you about my 2019 goals and the process that I went through. And I was feeling very stuck about my goals this year. And so I'm going to tell you exactly what that process looks like and what God brought me through and what I'm doing for my 2019 goals. And I have pretty detailed notes for today because I want to make sure that I communicate all the stuff that I want to communicate and that I'm not here for forever. So I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot, and I know that that will be totally fine with you, that you will give me that grace. So if you're watching this and you don't know me, or maybe you do know me, but you don't really know what I do, that's okay. Welcome. My name is Diana Kerr. I'm a certified professional life coach, and my niche, my specialty, what I get jacked about is working with goal-oriented Christian women who are overwhelmed, but who really, really, really want to create a time or create a life based on what matters most and use their time well. Adrian, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm like glad, but not glad to hear that we're in the same boat of feeling stuck with 2019 goals. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Today is going to be more about me sharing my story with this and what I've gone through, and there's definitely going to be aspects of this that I think will be helpful for you. And I'm even going to share some specific ideas that I had for my goal setting for this year that I decided not to use, but I want to share those because I think I just know that someone who's listening to this will end up being like, oh my goodness, that is the perfect approach for me. And so that's what's important about all this, is that we go about setting our goals and pursuing our goals and all of that in a way that really aligns, of course, with the Bible and with our faith, but also with the season that we're in and how God has wired us. So I'm glad that you're here, and I hope this is really helpful for you guys. And I want to just be very honest with you about what a challenge it was for me this year, even though a part of me feels like, well, I'm a life coach, I should have this all together. Goal setting should be really easy for me. And if I admit that it was a challenge for me this year, maybe people won't want to hire me because they'll think that I won't be able to help them with their goals, which is so ridiculous. But those are some of the crazy things that you kind of tell yourself that hold you back. So before I jump into things, I will just say two main things that I want to, like, my calls to action for today's video. I'll just be super clear on what they are. Number one, if you are not on my email list yet, I would love for you to be. Email is the #1 place that I focus on for really helpful content. And if you can just jump on my email list, like, generally by going to dianakerr.com/emails, or an even better way, based on today's video, if you are interested in learning some stuff about goal setting, go to dianakerr.com/pitfalls, PITFALLS. And the link is on Facebook Live, or if you're watching this on YouTube, the link is below. That is going to get you on the list for a 10-day email series where I talk through 10 common pitfalls that I see to goal setting with my clients and what to do instead. And that might sound like an ironic email series to you once I talk to you about my 2019 goals, but I promise you, no matter what place you're at in goal setting, or even if you decide you don't want to set goals, even if you're more of just like an intentions person, or you like to have routines but not goals, or whatever you want to call them, this is going to be a helpful series for you. And then you will be on my email list and get really valuable content. That's my first call to action. My second one is, if you are already on my email list, or even if you're not, I guess, I actually have a couple of coaching spaces open right now, which is extremely rare for this time of year. So if you would like to work with someone one-on-one to help hold you accountable, to help you work through feeling stuck on your goals, or whatever it might be, whether you have your goals all figured out and you want help to implement them, or whether you have no idea what you want to work on in your life or what you want to fix or whatever, I am here for you. And some of my clients, we work on setting goals and pushing them and holding them to higher standards. And some of my clients, we work on actually lowering their standards and doing less goals, or doing them in a more sustainable way. So whatever it is that you need, I'm here for you, and I am specifically trained and certified to walk you through that. Okay, so let's jump into things. So before I say all this, you guys probably know, if you follow me, you know that I love goal setting. Love it. It is literally a hobby of mine. I consider it a hobby. It is something that typically comes very easily to me. And so this year, to get into kind of what all went on this year, I started my Power Sheets prep work like I usually do. I actually started on December 1st, and then I had time planned throughout December so I could get my goals done. My plan was to have the goals all finalized, to even have the blog posts finalized before I took time off for Christmas and the holidays. So like December 20th or something, I think was my deadline for myself. And I was also working through and reading the book, The 12-Week Year, this year, in addition to using Power Sheets, because I was thinking that I wanted to maybe do quarterly goals instead of annual. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But so I had good approaches. I had good systems. Power Sheets have worked so amazing for me in the past. They've always been so great. I loved filling out the prep work. But this year was very different in the sense that when I got to the point of now needing to drill down and actually decide what the goals were going to be, I felt very stuck. I felt unsure. I was kind of at a loss, which honestly felt pretty frustrating and just not that fun. And so if you are someone who doesn't enjoy the process of goal setting, or often feels frustrated, or often gets stuck, not that it's always gone perfectly and easily for me in the past, but I can absolutely relate to you even more than usual now, because I would sit down during this time that I had planned for myself to work on my goals and just feel like, I don't even know. Like, I think I literally sat with my hands like this and I would just stare like, I don't know. And I would pray about it, and I talked to friends about it, and I talked to my husband about it, and God really worked on me slowly and just in an amazing way. But there were so many factors that went into making it challenging this year. And I just want to share some of these, just, I guess, kind of to give you like a life and business update a little bit. And because I feel like I haven't done a great job of sharing some of that stuff with you recently. And I always struggle, to be honest, finding this tension between wanting to share really helpful tips and strategies and advice with you through the content I provide, but also wanting you to realize I'm a real person. I struggle. I go through like weird funks and ups and downs and all that. And so maybe you don't care about this stuff, but I'm going to share it. So I know that some of you do. So some of the things that went into feeling like, okay, my usual approach to goal setting probably isn't going to work this year, and I want something a little different. And then also just feeling like I don't know what goals to set and how to go about setting those goals. Where, okay, number one, we would love to have another child sometime. We would love to get pregnant sometime this year. So I didn't want to set annual goals that might possibly not be realistic once I got pregnant. And obviously I could change those goals at the time that I get pregnant, but just knowing myself, I knew that if I had set those goals or that expectation, it would be hard for me then a few months into the year, or whatever, 3/4 of the way into the year, whatever, to say, okay, now I need to change those goals because they're not realistic because I'm super sick or whatever. Also, I felt, and I do still feel, this tug between wanting to use any pre-pregnancy time, which I have no idea how long that time will be. Maybe it will be a few months, maybe it will be a few years. But feeling this tug between wanting to use that time really well to get things done, and also wanting to use that time really well to kind of enjoy life and savor this season where life is easier than usual, and probably won't be this easy for realistically like another 2 years, if ever, once I get pregnant and once we have another child, and based on experience from last time. So I do believe absolutely that you can be productive and enjoy your life at the same time. I don't think that those are opposing things, but I was just feeling some tension with that. Also, to be totally honest, I've been feeling frustrated in my business with the expectations that I have for myself compared to what I can actually get done. I basically have a 7-hour workday on Mondays to get done everything that I want to do related to finances, admin, running my team, marketing, emails. And so, because Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I coach most of the day, and then I don't work the rest of the week. And so there's this gap between what I want to do and what I realistically can do. And so in addition to that, I've also had less clarity on what kind of marketing to focus on in my business. In the past, I have normally known these are the couple of main things I can focus on. Even if I don't do the other things well, it's okay. These are the couple main things that keep my business going and growing and keep clients coming my way. And that has changed in the last several months. The things that were working have not been working, and I've been getting clients from a greater variety of places. And so that's been frustrating too, and was difficult in trying to set goals, because I am pretty good at narrowing things down, simplifying, cutting out the fluff, but I don't know what the fluff is right now. And I don't know what those few key essential activities are. I am working through that, but I am still in the absolute midst of the muck, wading through that right now. I have not gotten to the point of being able to like move full steam ahead on a couple key things that I feel really confident are the best things to invest my time in. Also, I am an Enneagram 1, which means there are always things that I can see to fix and improve in my life and business. And I've also been very entrepreneurial since I was a little girl. So I have no shortage of ideas. But this year, for some reason, more than ever before, maybe just because of what I've gone through over the last couple years as a mom and health challenges, and like realizing now I just often have health challenges. Not that I want to like speak that as prophecy over the rest of my life that I will always have health problems, but I typically do have health challenges that I'm facing. And so knowing that, I was feeling stuck with like, okay, I have all these ideas, I have these dreams and these things that I want to change, but I was wanting to also be very realistic about what was doable. And I felt like I couldn't seem to arrive at a place of setting goals that were realistic enough while also feeling significant and exciting enough. It was probably a little bit entitled of me, honestly, to feel like, well, I should be able to like get these things done or make these changes. Like, oh, no, there's just only so much time and capacity. Also, I've been feeling less motivated in my business than usual due to like those last 3 things that I just mentioned about expectations and lacking clarity and all that stuff, and having lots of ideas and blah, 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 blah. So that was definitely kind of getting in the way and a factor in the goal setting. Like, I want to feel more motivated again. I want to feel more excited about creating content or working on my business. Also, I felt, let's see. I also felt this tension between wanting to set goals that seemed fun and super tangible, and also knowing that some of the most important things I could be working on this season are not very specific and check-offable things like decluttering or improving our health or cutting expenses or whatever. There are more so things like mindset and thought life. And so, like, for example, I've realized in working with my coach that I still, as far as God's brought me, as far as I've come, I still have really high standards for myself. And so something that I want to work on is more self-compassion, which I didn't even really know was a thing until recently. I also want to work on my thought life related to our marriage, because I can have very high standards for my husband because I have such high standards for myself. And then Enneagram 1s are very good, unfortunately, at harboring bitterness and resentment and just keeping it in and trying to be a good person and not sharing them, but that's not healthy. So there were these things, as I was trying to set goals, I was like, well, I want to set goals that seem fun, like organizing or redecorating my living room. But if I'm being honest, probably the best things I can work on aren't going to be very tangible things like that. They're going to be more in my head and like thought life and that kind of stuff. And quick side note, if this is something, if you struggle with that in your marriage of like feeling bitterness or resentment toward your husband, for me, it's mostly in like division of labor, I would say. And I'm an acts of service love language person, so that like factors into it too and just can make things really messy. But if that's something you struggle with, let me know, because I have some ideas for content that I might share. And there have been some amazing things that God has done, even just the past couple months, that have helped so much in that area. And also then, as I aim to correct this view that I have, this very faulty view that I have sometimes, that my husband is not helpful enough or that he's selfish or whatever, I knew, thinking about the goals that I wanted to set, I didn't want to have some giant list of goals or huge expectations for my productivity every day, because that is not helpful with that cause. Because raise your hand if you can relate to this. I am much more likely to be patient with my husband and not mind if he is like taking time for himself or whatever when I don't have, or if he wants to have some long conversation with me that I didn't expect about his workday or whatever. I handle that stuff so much better when I have margin versus when I'm like, well, I have this huge list of stuff I need to do, and now he's talking to me about this and I don't have time for this, or I can't believe that he got home from fishing way later than he said he was going to. Doesn't he know I have all these things I need to get done? When that's not the case, I am so much more patient and gracious with him, which I really want to be. Also, I have noticed lately, and this is something we can get into in more detail because it's been a game changer for some of my clients as we've talked about it. I have noticed lately that when I plan things out too far in advance, I am often not very excited about executing that thing when I get to it. So I love planning. I'm very good at planning. I love the idea of planning, but sometimes when I plan things, whether it is in my personal life, like a social thing, or whether it's a goal in my business or a content plan or whatever, when I get to the point then months later of having to actually execute that, I am not always excited about doing it. So I wanted to, if possible, find a way that I could kind of like ride the wave of whatever thing I was feeling excited about at that time. Versus saying like in December, okay, March is going to be the month that I'm going to focus on decluttering. Well, what if I'm really excited about decluttering in January? Or what if I get to March and I'm excited about something else and I don't want to do decluttering then? Then something that I do want to do, and maybe in certain days or in certain months is exciting to me, feels really laborious and like icky, even though I chose it for myself, because it just doesn't like feel that motivating at the time. Now I realize that you can't just only do things in life when you're feeling excited about them, but we'll get into that more later. And also my business and my life are honestly pretty good right now. And so that was a good but hard thing as I went into my goals. There wasn't some glaring area that was like, you need to do some big time work in this area, girl, and you need to suck it up and you need to make a big plan and whatever. God has blessed us so much, and through his ability, we have created a life, and I've created a business where, yes, there's always room for growth, and I always see that room for growth as an Enneagram 1. But there is no like glaring thing that needs fixing, like I said. There have been seasons of life where like I was trying to get off of the like heavy duty drugs that I was giving myself shots of for rheumatoid arthritis, or we were trying to get out of debt, or like I was trying to support our family while my husband built a business, or our basement flooded. Like there were seasons that were more intense, and this is not that kind of a season. So I wanted to find a way to kind of like enjoy the fruits of that a little bit, and also find a way that like, okay, well, maybe I can, there's not like a couple of big areas that I can dive deep on for improving. So is there some way that I can make some little changes in numerous areas, but without it feeling super scattered? Because I am not the kind of person that likes to be like, okay, well, I'm going to do 15 minutes of decluttering a day, and I'm going to do 15 minutes of this, I'm going to do whatever, like jump around from thing to thing. As much as possible, I want to focus each chunk of time, whether it's a day, a week, a month, I want to have like one main thing that I'm focusing on, if at all possible. So I had all these things swirling around in my head as I am trying to set goals. And please let me know if you can relate to any of these things or what some of your challenges are in goal setting. I want us to like work together through this stuff. And so I was praying and praying, like I said, and talking to friends and trying to figure out how I would set good and meaningful and doable and Jesus-focused goals. And I didn't want to, as much as I very much wanted to have my goals published on January 1st and look like I have it all together and I've got it all buttoned up and I've got this great plan, more than ever before, I wanted to have a plan that I just felt really good about and that I was really excited to do and that I knew would actually happen. So I was praying about and working through all these creative ideas, as I was trying to take the work that I had done in my Power Sheets prep work and my other reflective work and turn that into my own unique approach to goal setting for this year. And I'm going to share some of these with you because, like I said, some of them might be perfect for the season that you're in right now. And I even might come back to these at some point, but I decided that none of these were right for right now for me. So, I mean, the first idea that I had initially before I even started was that I was going to set 12-week long goals or quarterly goals based on the principles in the book, The 12-Week Year. Or then another idea I had at one point was maybe I just set monthly goals. Like I use my Power Sheets, I set goals for each month, but I don't have overarching quarterly or annual goals. I give myself a little bit more freedom to just kind of see like month to month what I want to work on. Again, a great idea, but just didn't quite feel right. Then I ended up settling on, I settled on this, but then I didn't. This idea that I had where I was going to identify a theme for each week before the week began, and then make an ordered list of tasks that I wanted to tackle that week in relation to that theme. So maybe the theme for the week would be health or finances or marriage or whatever. And then make a list of very specific things I could do to improve that. And then just do as many of the things on that list as I could over the course of that week. And whatever I didn't get done, fine. Then the next week, move on to focusing on something else. So I actually had a pretty detailed plan for how I was going to execute this. I started this plan, and it was kind of based on a tentative word of the year that I had chosen, which was invest. But anyway, I had that idea and I was starting that, but then I had my first official work day back to work for the year, which was last Monday, January 7th. And honestly, the day went so poorly. I was feeling stuck. I was feeling unmotivated. I was really tired. I have to get a lot of sleep to feel energized. And so I was feeling very tired. And then I started getting a bad headache that ended up being a multi-day headache. And I had to cancel my very first day back of coaching for the year, which is very rare for me to have to reschedule coaching sessions, but I had to reschedule a whole day's worth of sessions and was just basically laying around all day with a headache while my kid was still at daycare that I'm paying for. And those icky, very challenging couple of days where I was just what is going on? What am I doing? Were what God finally used through the course of lots of just slowly removing the fogginess and giving me more clarity little by little, was what finally got me to the point of at least where I have settled now for what I'm doing for goals for 2019, which took me 5 or 6 weeks to get there. So it was a very slow process. Some of these things in life, you cannot microwave them. Even if you are a life coach, or even if you're someone who's good at reflection, or you're in prayer a lot, or you have good counsel, sometimes things just take a while. And so every time I had time set aside for goal setting, I would get to the end of that time and think, oh, I did not get as far along as I hoped that I would. But I started to learn, by the time I sit down and work on this a little bit more again in a few days, I know that God will have brought me a little bit farther. Every time I worked on it and reflected, it wasn't going as quickly and as well as I wanted it to, but it was just little by little starting to kind of make more sense. And I'm so thankful that God made this, or allowed this to be kind of a frustrating, challenging process this year, because it helped me to really challenge the way that I have gone about setting goals, and to really think about, do I want to keep doing them the way that I've always been doing them? And I think where I've arrived now is better. It's a better place than it would have been had everything gone perfectly and had I just had incredible clarity and nailed down my goals on December 7th or something, and gone ahead with business as usual. So what I decided for now for my 2019 goals is that I am not setting any. I'm not setting any goals. This doesn't mean that I'm not going to be productive or pursue things that matter to me. It doesn't mean that I'm checking out in my life or taking a season of Sabbath necessarily or anything like that. It just means that I'm not setting goals. So I'm sure that you have questions about that. So I'm going to answer some. I thought okay, people are going to ask questions about this, or I'm going to want to explain this somehow. So I thought, what are some questions that I can write out and answer them? So first of all, does this mean I'm not going to set any goals for all of 2019 and I'm taking a year off of goals? No, it does not. It just means for now that this is my approach. This could last 3 months, 9 months, the whole year. I have no idea. I'm going to take it 1 month at a time. Am I going to use Power Sheets at all then? Because I love Power Sheets and encourage everyone to buy them pretty much. Yes, I am still going to use Power Sheets. I use the Power Sheets prep work, and that was so helpful for this process, because reflective work is still really powerful, even if you don't get to a point of making a beautiful, perfect goal plan. So I'm still going to keep using my Power Sheets because they have some reflective stuff for each month. So I'm going to do that each month, and I think on a month-by-month basis, kind of evaluate where I'm at, and do I want to continue the way I'm going right now, or do I want to set some goals or do something for the upcoming month? And then, so do I have a word of the year? Am I going to incorporate that word of the year, invest, that I mentioned? I still do like that word, but I pretty much have let that word go. What has been guiding me more than that word is what I would call, I guess, a purpose statement or mission statement that I've had. When did that come to me? A few months ago, I was reading a book called Drop the Ball, and all of a sudden it just came to me. I feel like in the past I've tried to come up with a purpose statement or mission statement for myself, and it just like never really stuck or just never really felt right, or I would make it, but then it didn't really like influence me or wasn't really that valuable. And so what came to me was advancing the gospel through people who are well. And I could go into what that means, but so that has been more than like a word of the year or specific goals or whatever. That is what has been guiding me a lot in my business and personal life as I make decisions about things and decide how to spend my time, etc. Okay, this is a big question that I anticipated people wondering. How are you going to be productive now? Are you worried that you're going to waste your time or like not spend your time on good activities because you don't have a plan? Because I am someone who absolutely is in favor of being proactive, not being reactive, not letting your life just happen to you, using your time well, all that kind of stuff. And here is what I realized. I'm a very intrinsically motivated person. Praise God. There are a lot of flaws to my driven nature, that is for sure. But that is one of the benefits, is that I'm very self-motivated. I'm very motivated. I'm the kind of woman who finds joy in using her free time for things that are productive, like decluttering or learning about how to improve my health. I love learning and reading personal growth stuff. I love doing things like figuring out how to cut expenses in our finances or work on financial goals, or like think about specific things I can do to benefit a friend or family member or whatever. So when I have free time, those are the kinds of things that my brain jumps to wanting to do if I don't have something prescribed, versus some of the very typical time wasters that might be a temptation for other people. I'm not saying that I'm above that stuff. It's just not a struggle for me at this point in life. So I'm not worried about spending a bunch of extra time on Instagram or watching TV. I don't really watch TV by myself ever, or things like that, because I don't have as many tasks on my to-do list or don't have my day as planned out. And so two of my biggest realizations in this whole process were that, number one, I need to trust myself a little bit more in that, and realize again, like how God has wired me, and that might not be the wisest approach for everyone, but that works. I think this will work well for me, at least for now, not forever, but at least for now. So I need to trust myself that I'm going to use my time well and use it in a productive manner. When I say productive, I don't mean just getting stuff done. Productive is like hanging out with your kid or snuggling with your husband, whatever. That's productive too. I need to trust myself I'm going to use my time well, even without a big to-do list or a goals list or whatever. And another huge realization that I've had, I kind of mentioned this before, is that I have much more fun working on things when I'm feeling motivated about them at that time. And you might be thinking, well, I'm never motivated to declutter or to work on my finances or improve my health or exercise or whatever. And then maybe you need to, and that's okay, maybe then you do need to push yourself a little bit more and have some goals and all that stuff. But motivation to improve and to work on those things comes very naturally to me. So I want to kind of ride that wave of whatever motivation I'm currently feeling that day or week, and then enjoy that process of improving my life a little bit more than I have been, when it's like, okay, here's the plan that I made, and now I need to follow this regardless of what kind of mood I'm in or what's going on. Like, I need to get this stuff done because this is a plan I made for myself. Okay, next question. How am I deciding what to work on each day or each week? There are certain things in my business and personal life that pretty much need to be done. So those things are in my task list manager, or they're on my weekly routine template, and they get planned into the day, or they get put on my little to-do list. So those are things like dishes and laundry, or in my business, it's things like client emails or payroll. But then other things I'm evaluating more on a day-by-day or even a moment-by-moment basis. So in my personal life, for a very long time, for quite a long time, I've had a Post-it note with my tasks for that day, with my personal tasks for the day, and I break it up into tasks that I'm going to do while my son is awake and basically while I'm responsible for him, or things that I'm going to do when he's napping or sleeping. So I'm still doing that, but now there's less things on that Post-it note. It's more so just the essentials. And then in the free time that I inevitably have, I evaluate in that moment what I want to get done. So it might be getting a task done at that time. I might be like, hey, I'm going to go like do a little decluttering, or I'm going to, like Kyle and Harry are having some fun together. I'm going to go get something done on my computer. Or it might just be deciding to like play with my kid or cuddle with my family or whatever seems right at that time. And then for my business, again, I have those things that have to get done, but then what I have just started doing, this is very fresh, so I don't know how well this will work, but what I just started doing is creating a list of all the ongoing marketing activities that I could do in my business. And instead of having those as a plan or an expectation or goals or whatever you want to call them, I'm looking at them more as like a menu. So here are the things that I could do. Monday is pretty much my main day to do those kinds of things, do the marketing. Here are the things that I could do. What am I motivated to do today, excited about? What is really going to make the biggest difference today? And then I'm planning to do those things and letting go of the stuff that doesn't happen. And because my business is very stable and it's doing well, I can feel okay with that plan and know that it doesn't have to be way more rigid in order for me to survive or anything like drastic like that. So, I mean, for example, today, I spend a little chunk of time working on kind of like a podcast theme and topic for a podcast that I'm going to be on with Melissa Johnson from Best Friends for Frosting, her new podcast, Heartfelt Success. So I spent some time working on that, which technically displaced other marketing activities I could be doing. But this morning I sat down, looked at my menu basically, and decided what things would be most important activities to spend that time on for today. So like this Facebook Live made the cut. I haven't responded to Instagram DMs in a long time, so probably a couple weeks, I think. So that made the cut for today, and like the podcast and whatever. And then maybe next Monday it'll be different based on if I have some great idea that I want to share on Instagram or my blog or, you know, whatever it might be, or whether there's like someone that I want to send a handwritten note to for a specific reason. Okay, so next question. We're almost done. Do I just do whatever random thing pops into my head then, especially like in my personal time? So on my business days, I'm still planning out my day. I still am having a structure to the day. I'm planning out the day pretty much one day at a time. So, I mean, I guess there's like obviously still that possibility that I will plan something for 3 p.m. at 9 a.m. and not be interested in when I get to that point, but like that's fine. I can push through that. But for my personal life, since I'm not planning out as much, like, do I just, if I have free time, do I just do whatever random thing I feel like? No, not necessarily. So like I said, I spend all that time on prep work and I do a lot of reflective work. So I know what things are priorities to me in this season, even if I don't have a specific list. So I also keep idea lists for myself in my task list manager, Todoist. So that's kind of like, some people, if they have an idea about something, they put it on their to-do list. I do not do that. I do not recommend it. I put it on an ideas list instead because that lowers the expectation. That doesn't say you are going to do this thing. That to me says you could do this thing, possibly. Or David Allen would call it a someday maybe list, if you're familiar with David Allen's getting things done system. So I have that there. So I know in my head what my priorities are. I know that like I want to take a couple more small steps in improving our health before we conceive a child. I know that I want to get through a course that I purchased, like whatever. I know that I still want to do a little more decluttering and organizing. So knowing that in my head, plus having those ideas lists in Todoist that I can reference anytime is helping me to choose wise things to spend that time on instead of something that's like not necessarily a waste of time, but like a very, very low value activity. Okay, so what about this stuff though? You might be wondering like, is there anything that you're unmotivated to do that you need to push yourself on? Yes, a little bit, and I'm still kind of figuring out what that looks like. There's not a lot of those things for me, but I would say there's one course that I want to finish. There's another course that I want to begin and complete, and then some of those mindset related things that I want to work on that I'm not necessarily overly excited to spend time on. And I know if I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to be too quick to make time for those. So I'm kind of still figuring out what that might look like. I'm only like a week into this so far. So far, I haven't made time for those things, but I've made time for a lot of other really, really good productive things. So that might just mean that I have to have a little bit more structure to get those things done. Maybe it's like at the end of each day when I look at the upcoming day, seeing like, oh, we have almost nothing. I have almost nothing on my Post-it for tomorrow in terms of necessary things like dishes or laundry or whatever. So I'm going to do like half an hour tomorrow night, as long as I can, as long as it's reasonable. Once I get to tomorrow night I'm going to spend half an hour on that parenting course or whatever it is. 2 more questions. Do I think that other people shouldn't set goals? Absolutely not. No, no, no. This is not like my new approach to goals that I recommend one size fits all that I'm going to tell all my clients to do now. I'm still going to keep supporting my one-on-one clients, and maybe that will be one of you watching this if you apply for a clarity call. If you missed what I said at the beginning, you can go to dianakerr.com/coaching and get more info. But no, I'm still going to support my clients in PowerSheets. I still love PowerSheets. I still think that goal setting is valuable. I would not be where I am right now had it not been for what God has done through goal setting in my life. But for this season and based on how I'm wired, I'm just kind of taking a break from being as rigid or structured about my growth and productivity, I guess you can say. And so then related to my monthly goals posts, if you're wondering if I'm still going to do those, because I do love doing those posts, what I'm going to do instead, I think, is do kind of like a recap of the month and share with you what are the things that I worked on, what are the things that I got done. And those won't be things that I had necessarily specifically planned to do before going into the month, but just to kind of share with you, like, here's how I spend my time, and here are some blessings of the month and some victories in my business and personal life. Just because I think it's fun to kind of see, like, what are people doing with their time? What are they prioritizing? And gives you ideas and just kind of is fun. So that's my approach for goals for the year. I would love to hear any thoughts that you have about your goal setting. If you have questions for me about this or whatever, you want to tell me like that this isn't going to work or something, like, that's fine. I'm still exploring this. I love trying different approaches to goal setting. Last year I took a little bit different approach than the year before, and so I'm excited about this. The first week felt like a dream. I can't even describe it. It was so strange and so wonderful. And that's not realistic in every season to have very minimal to-do lists, but it works for me in this season. And wow, it was really amazing. So I would love to hear your comments. And again, if you are not yet on my email list, I would love for you to join. We actually have a 10-day email series I mentioned at the beginning. You can go to dianakerr.com/pitfalls, and we'll send you over the course of 10 days, and then we'll add you to our email list after that. We'll send you 10 common pitfalls to goal setting. And wherever you fall in the goal setting spectrum, even if you're like me this year, you're going to find value in this series, and we've gotten really good feedback. So 10 things not to do and what to do instead. And then if you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me, I would love to work with you. Here's all you need to do. If this even sounds remotely interesting to you, like, that could be so helpful to have a certified professional life coach walk me through things. Just go to dianakerr.com/coaching. You can read a little bit more in there. You can watch a video testimonial from Laura Casey and Val Warner, and you can read just a handful of the many testimonials I have from clients. And then if that seems interesting, then the only thing you need to do after that is click a button and fill out a little form and apply for a free clarity call with me. And if we think that you're a good fit, we will let you know, and you and I will get on the phone for half an hour and chat about your life and what you're struggling with, and see if we're a good fit for coaching and if we want to coach together. So it's not a big commitment to at least take that first step, but give it a try. I cannot tell you how many women have told me after getting into coaching, man, I was really hesitant about this. I wasn't sure, or I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend the money, or I wasn't sure if coaching was right for me. And I cannot imagine having not done this. I'm so glad that I did it. So I would love to work with you. And I will leave it at that. You guys have a great rest of the week. And I just love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so thankful to be able to chat with you and just go through life with you and share the ups and downs and all the good stuff, all the things that God is teaching us. All right, love you. Bye.